Okay, so looking at the cardiovascular system and the functions, it firstly works as a good delivery system. So it'll help deliver things like oxygen and nutrients, but it will only do that based on the demands of the body. So if we were to take a cyclist who's just using the lower body, it will be very clever and arrange the right nutrients and oxygen just to go to the muscles that are working, as well as distribute the heat properly. So the heat will be distributed all over the body and not just in the legs of the cyclist. Similarly, any waste that's created, so any oxygen or toxins, they'll be moved to the kidneys and the liver so it can be separated. Any of the CO2 that gets moved back to the heart through the CV system as well, and that will move it to the lungs, then pick up some oxygen. And lastly, the exercise creates more waste, so therefore this system needs to work faster in order to do that. We also control the blood, so the body heat can become quite dangerous, so we need to try and maintain a body temperature of 37 degrees heat. We can do this with vasodilation and vasoconstriction. So dilation, a bit like if someone's pupils were dilated, they open up. So this is the same with vasodilation. They will open up to direct the blood to release heat across the entire body. Vasoconstriction, so if we were getting a bit too cold, we would try and tighten them up like a boa constrictor to constrict to prevent the blood moving as quickly. And it does this just like this. So here we've got the vessels that have dilated, and that's allowing the blood to rise to the surface of the skin to allow heat to move out. And it also activates the sweat gland, which allows sweat to be moved out. Alternatively, working in a cold environment, the capillaries will constrict, which only lets a small amount of heat out, but it doesn't activate the sweat glands, and therefore we are able to limit the amount of heat that we lose. Last two, so fighting infection, we've got our white blood cells, and they move around the body with leukocytes to fight bacteria and viruses, made in the bone marrow, and will float around the blood looking for any viruses or bacteria that doesn't deserve to be there, and eventually kill it off. And if it is wasteful, it will remove it and take it to the waste system. Then blood clotting, so platelets will be around the body and in the blood to form solid clots to cover any damaged vessels, and this prevents a loss of blood and internal bleeding. And that process is possible because they are always within the blood flow. So the blood is always flowing through these vessels, and anything that gets touched or nicked, for example, if you were to bump into something, you're likely to have damaged a number of blood vessels, and platelets will start the process of clotting.